All right, Johnny B, UpsideDownDrafting.com. Thanks for joining us on the episode. Wanted to show you a couple things about my league that we instituted this year for 2018. Number one, the coach. We have a head coach now on our roster. You get points via wins and losses. Does he cover the spread? And a couple other things that can go negative for the coach. But it's going to be an interesting thing because we are a salary league, so it makes it really, really hard to load up on guys that are really good. For instance, Tom Brady is one of my quarterbacks, $22 million salary. I'll show you what our cap is and how that all works at the bottom portion of this page. But a couple guys I wanted to show you right now on my roster. A couple guys I got last year. I got Sean Kaiser, who's sitting on Green Bay, who's in my opinion, a better situation, obviously behind A-Rod and things like that. I got Tom Brady and Russell Wilson, who was my very first pick in the core draft because this is a 2 QB superflex. So I think I had the 106 in the core startup dynasty, and so I took this guy right here. Combined with the fact that I can throw a guy who puts up over 300 fantasy points with Tom Brady every week, and then the bye weeks that are going to ham and egg, I'm pretty strong at quarterback, I must say. But what I'm doing is I'm working in guys like this, Geno Smith, who a lot of people just didn't give the respect, I think, in this offseason. I don't know why. I've always been a Geno Smith fan. And Phillip Rivers never goes down, right? Never say never. But I'm hearing some really good things with Geno. So as far as the quarterbacks go, this is kind of what I'm stashing. This is what I'm dealing with. My runners are absolutely phenomenal. I got Tariq Cohen last year, I think in the 8th round of my rookie draft. I mean, what a steal that was. Leo was my number 1 overall, and I had a really good year last year. I made some trades in the offseason to get Gurley. I got Duke Johnson, Aaron Jones, and obviously Alvin Kamara. So my runners are my strength. My weaknesses, though, are my wide receivers because I got a couple guys long in the tooth, although Des Bryant, don't count him out yet. He's still going to be viable. Says here on a couple of notes that, Leonte Carew, interesting guy here because I've always been a fan. Man, he was just an all-planet college guy, and then, he's just in the wrong situation trying to fight with all those other wide receivers on Miami. And it's too bad, too, because he is fierce on the outside and just a field stretcher. I love Carew. I hope he makes it, but this is Dynasty, so I'm just taking a stab on him and see if he makes it. Mari Cooper, I got Josh Gordon, Terrell Pryor. We're going to have to see how that all pans out in the Jets. And then Demaryius Thomas, who, for me, I think in the core draft, I got him in about the 4th round, if you can believe that, because no one was really looking for those type of wide receivers in the core. A lot of people were going runner and things like that, but most steady Eddie receiver over in my fantasy past years, and just a rock. And I can always trade him, but again, going to the salary portion of this league that makes it really tough, man, is he's at $12 million, so you got to be cognizant of that. Here's an interesting one too with Tyrell Williams on the Chargers because of the situation with Hunter Henry right now. I think I expect some huge big things for him. Getting laughed at in my league because I picked up Virgil Green off the waiver wire. Yeah, I spent a little bit more than I should have, but I think I'm not counting this guy out yet. You just never know. Let's see what happens with him. I also took a stab at this guy. Why not? I mean, these are the type of things in Dynasty that you sit back and you say, Gary Barnidge, okay, he's 32 years old. What happens? You just never know. I mean, I know there were some inklings that the Dallas Cowboys were interested in him. We'll see how Rico Gathers does. There's a lot of hype around him, but I don't know yet what's going to happen. But you just never know. This is the fun thing about NFL is in the offseason, some guys will just miraculously pop in, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever happened to Gary Barnidge in his 2 really good seasons? Mercedes Lewis, another guy I picked up off the waiver wire, I think in February or March. And so, now he's landed in Green Bay. That type of thing. We'll see what Mr. Eric Swoop does this year. I got Delaney Walker in a trade. I gave up Jimmy Graham and a couple other folks to get to get Gurley, and then the guy threw in Delaney Walker also on a side deal. So here's the fun part. We're going to go for punters. So we have head coaches. We have punters, okay? And the way punters score is the length of the kick, right, in the air, as it hang times and all that. the absolute length of the kick, whether it's returned or not, and then whether it's pinned with inside, I think it's the 10-yard line, you get points. And what we're trying to do is just balance it out to where, yeah, it's a little bit more challenging this year. I wouldn't sweat on these type of categories. We had a lot of fighting in our league saying, oh, this is not what we want to do. It's going to be really too many categories. That's one of the things, because we got a lot of roster guys here. We have a 53-man roster. We're trying to mimic the NFL, and now you throw in more positions that people complain about, essentially. But I think it's no more than a kicker in your redraft league, as they're not going to win you the league, but they might win you the weekly matchup. And so therefore, I'm excited to give that a try. This is full IDP, baby. So we got, IDP here, and I got Buckner, I got Fletcher Cox. I even have Sheldon Richardson, who I'm really excited on. Got him in a trade earlier. Campbell, I mean, what can you say about him? The guy's just a beast in fantasy. I mean, just putting up huge numbers. And then Jones, Chandler Jones, also, I'm very excited about him. So I got a really good team here. I did really well last year. I did not win the whole thing, but I was kind of that best team that got knocked out early. And, just kind of looking over some of my guys here, because we do cornerbacks, we do safeties. And then what's really cool here is the offensive line. So I got the Rams and the Saints. Now, how did we do that? Because you say, how did you just magically add 4 positions? We had a mini draft. And the mini draft was fun because it was all blind bid, FAAB Fabby dollars, as they're known. And what we did, we just did a round robin. We started on a Monday night at about 8 p.m. Pacific. I'm on the West here. And everybody got a certain dollar amount. And I think the dollar amount was $250. And you could splice it, dice it however you wanted. You could use it on the coach, the punter, the offensive line. And then also I think we threw in kickers because we didn't do kickers before. But the fun thing is you just had no idea what guys were going to do and which direction they were going to go. And for me, I put all my money on the Saints offensive line. The reason I like this is because it's a team offensive line. No, we're not dealing with individual linemen, and I'm sure fantasy football will get there one day. But for now, that's a little ludicrous. I think the team is more of a redraft team defense, if I can give you an analogy, because now what you're going to do is you're going to get credit for penalties negatively if a guy holds, okay, right? Any sort of illegal hands to the face, all that kind of stuff is going to factor into these points. But then you also score positively as when they get first downs, they move the chains and things like that. They're not game changer positions again, but there's something that can make you watch a little bit differently every week. And so we're going to give this a try. You can only start 1. I have 2 only because of the bye weeks. And in fact, I actually got this one in a trade. I think I gave up like a 5th round rookie draft pick for these guys. And I'm like, okay, I'll take 2, really, really insane offensive lines. Again, we're just starting this new frontier, but I think, and I know there's a lot of guys out there that are talking about this sort of thing to make it a little bit more challenging. So again, what we have is we have a salary cap league, okay? And right now, here's my cap. My total is over the cap. Now, this is a soft cap until we actually start the season, because if you can believe it, right now you can only max out 61 players. And so right now I'm at 61 just because it's the off season. Without Taxi Squad. And again, Taxi Squad is just the bullpen. I've been over this a couple times, and here's some of my guys that I got this year's draft. And again, you can only put drafted rookies on the Taxi Squad. You can't just grab a waiver wire guy. And I got a bunch of guys asking questions on that on YouTube. And the reason is first of all, we have a live draft. I think that is the most important aspect. Barbecues, getting guys together, the cohesion of the league. But the problem is unless you draft rookies, they're just not important, and the league's not as fun. So you have to, number one, be there at the draft, either Skype or whatever, be there live. But as you draft them, like this guy, right, John Kelly, I got the backup to Todd Gurley. I got him in the 4th. I got Wilkins in the 9th, and him in the 4th. These guys can now live and breathe on my taxi. And anybody else that I pick up, like I was just showing you, anybody else off the waiver wire will just fit in here normally. They cannot go on the taxi. I can host guy on the taxi for 2 years. That's it. That's our rules, and I think it's a great rule because you should be able to stash guys in Dynasty. That's the whole fun. That makes you research. But then you throw in this salary cap also that we have, and it gets really tough. So I guess back to what I was saying is come August, we tightened down the cap. Right now, it's roughly at 355 million, and I'm right on the cusp on that. That's fine. I can make a couple trades, but then just like the NFL, we got to make our cuts. So pretty soon, I'm going to have to take 61 down to 53. So a lot of trading happens, a lot of things that come back into the player pool, but then also a lot of decisions. I mean, this is exactly what it feels like to be an NFL owner. What do you do? I mean, I don't know. Word to the wise, if you are on a taxi squad sort of play with Dynasty, don't move any of these guys. Don't promote them until the season starts, because what if they get injured? What happens if John Kelly breaks his leg or whatever? It's silly, because now he would be on my core roster up here, and I can't put him back down. Once he graduates, once you promote him and bring him up to the big boys from the minor leagues, look at baseball, look at Mike Trout for the Angels, so to speak. You bring him up, you can't put him back down. So that's why my recommendation is always leave these guys sitting here until they start becoming fantasy relevant. I got 2 years to host them down here. How many guys can we host on our taxi squad? I believe we go up to 20. And then after that, you gotta figure it out after that. But the cool thing is you can trade the taxi squad rookies. You can trade any of your assets that are currently here, and that's the whole purpose of the league. Once you have extrapolated all the talent from the waiver wire, there's no one on the waiver wire right now. There's absolutely nobody, and so that's the whole thing. Is you just you wanna look at like the overall player stats and go from there on available rookies and things like that down the line. Here's kind of my team from a total points projected standpoint. So I got some good guys in this top 5. I got 3 in the top 5. So I'm looking good. I'm very excited. We call our league name NFL-ite. We're trying to mimic the NFL, and I think we're onto something here, because I'm getting some definite rumblings in the fantasy industry asking me, what are you guys doing in this league, man? This is different. Never seen this before. And I think we're onto something, because I think it's going to be fun for people to try to play. It's very difficult, number one. It's extremely difficult, especially with the salaries and that type of thing. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will be on the next show coming up here. One other thing I think I was gonna show was my monthly calendar. Month of May. I think people were asking me, how do I do this? So in the month of May, we did our roster expansions. Okay, on a Friday, we did our live draft in person on May 5th. We do it early. We reward guys for grabbing guys early. I did another video. I think I talked about Kareem Hunt last year. My God, he was like ranked in the second round, this time last year, and then all of a sudden you get closer to August and he's going first round. So, for the guys that do their research, they should be rewarded. So we do it an early May draft, and then after that, we start processing waiver wires on Mondays, and then we do blind bids on Fridays. So we do Mondays and Fridays in the off season as it kind of trickles down. And then if I can fast forward here to here's June, okay, July, and again, you have full access to this, fellas, once you get into this website. Right around the Hall of Fame game, right here. Here's kind of what happens when we start getting closer to the regular season. The drafted rookie deadline starts here on Tuesday, it says, and then I think there's one more slide I got to show you. Here we go. So September, right? September is a big month. Because look at this, the Saturday the 1st, all NFL teams reduce rosters to 53 starts. Okay, so then what do? We do it the day after, because we're following the NFL, and I'm right here, if you can see my cursor. We're going to reduce our team down in September on the 2nd, and then boom, we get into full mode. And again, this is a very, very strong league I'm in. A lot of, not experts, I don't think anyone would recognize the names of these folks, but we all know some of the best guys in the league aren't on Twitter. Some of the best guys are not, YouTubers or whatever. Some of the best guys live in Vegas, and they don't want to be known. I got a few of those guys, I feel like, in our league. They're very smart. They're very good. They don't want any attention. They don't care about new technology. Some of them are kind of older in age and just very wise. So we have a really strong league, and we're doing this so closely to what the NFL does, it makes it very difficult. And so to really do well in a league like this makes it fun. The only way to keep track of all this stuff is the league calendar, where you can really pan out and put everything down here. Our commissioner spends a lot of time on this. We put a lot of effort into it, but you can see, you can really lay out however you want this to go. And so we do a lot of stuff where the injury report, I'll just say this and I'll wrap this video up. Injury report, you could see this on Fridays. I'll just make this real simple. I'll highlight this for example. When the injury report comes out on Friday, we actually do a blind bid that night. That way you get a chance to see who's hurt if you need to fill some stuff. Same thing on Saturday. We'll go ahead and let you process more waiver wires that night on Saturday. And then Sunday, you can do adds and moves and changes, but it's at 5 a.m. The reason it's 5 a.m. because you have those London games and overseas games and things like that. So Sunday's a little bit different. Now, some guys complain in this league because they're like, well, I don't wake up that early. I like to make moves in my redraft, 10 minutes before kickoff, 5 or 10 minutes before kickoff. And the thing is in this sort of league, you better have had your research done and your players picked, because if you don't have this, and you can preload it, you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. But I'm saying if you don't have all your ducks in order, this could affect you. But again, once you have sucked out all the talent of that waiver wire and there's nothing left, like there is nothing left in this league, you better have a strong team. And that's the whole idea in this dynasty thing. So any questions on this, let me know. There's tons of questions I think I could pull out of what I just showed you. But something that I think a lot of guys are going to follow on this stuff is, how does this salary cap thing work? How did you do that? How did you pull that off? It's a lot of work. On my commissioner and my side, we have to actually go through a lot of these guys' salaries. There's another website that we can pull on that, and then we manually enter, if you can believe it, all these salary caps and salaries for these players that are relevant. Guys that are not relevant don't have a salary, and so it takes a lot of time entering these things in. But once you do, you have a league that mimics the NFL, and that's kind of what we're doing. All right, guys, Johnny B, UpsideDownDrafting.com. Any questions, let me know. I'm on Twitter as well, and getting ready for the summer, just like you are. All right, catch you on the next show. Thanks.